I finally decided that my old sneakers were too thin for a long walk. The weather today is perfect for a little bit of shopping in a mall. I walked through the glass doors of a large, bright shoe store. The smell of new leather and rubber filled the air around me. Hundreds of boxes were stacked neatly against the white walls. I looked at the colorful displays of running shoes and elegant boots. A young woman with bright red hair walked toward me from the back. She had a very professional look and a friendly badge on her vest. Her name was Megan, and she seemed ready to solve my problem. "Hello, are you looking for something specific today?" she asked me. I smiled and explained that I needed something for a mountain trip. "My current shoes make my feet hurt after only 1 hour," I said. Megan nodded and told me that the right support is very important. She led me to a section with heavy, waterproof hiking gear. I saw many different brands, from very expensive to quite cheap. "We should start by finding your exact size," Megan suggested calmly. I thought I knew my size, but she told me feet can change over time. She brought a metal device to measure the length and width of my foot. I put my right foot on the cold surface and she moved the sliders. It turned out I was a size 10, which was larger than I thought. "That explains why your old shoes felt so tight," Megan remarked. She asked if I preferred a dark color or something more visible. I told her that brown or gray would be best for dusty trails. She climbed a small ladder to reach a box on the top shelf. I watched her move with confidence, knowing exactly where everything was. The box she grabbed had a picture of a mountain on the side. She opened the lid and showed me a pair of sturdy chocolate boots. They looked very strong and had thick, orange laces on the front. I touched the material and felt the high quality of the leather. "These are designed for rocky paths and rainy days," she explained. I felt a surge of excitement thinking about my future adventure. Megan told me these boots have a special memory foam inside. I had never tried memory foam in a shoe before this moment. She placed a soft rug on the floor for me to try them on. I sat on a small stool and took off my old, worn-out sneakers. My socks had a small hole, which made me feel a bit embarrassed. Megan didn't seem to notice and kept talking about the grip. She handed me the right boot first to see how it felt. The boot felt heavy in my hand, but very solid and safe. I was ready to see if they were as comfortable as they looked. I slipped my foot into the boot and felt the soft lining. It was like putting my foot into a warm, supportive cloud. Megan helped me tighten the laces to secure my ankle properly. "Ankle support is the most important part of a hiking boot," she said. I stood up and felt a huge difference in my height and balance. The soles felt very bouncy, as if I could jump over a river. I walked a few steps on the carpet to test the internal space. My toes had enough room to move, which was a very good sign. Megan asked if the heel felt tight or if it was slipping. I told her it felt perfect, like the boot was made for my foot. "We should try the left one too, because feet are rarely identical," she warned. I put on the left boot and laced it up just like the first one. Walking with both boots made me feel like a real professional hiker. I looked at myself in the floor mirror near the display. The blue of my t-shirt looked great with the dark brown leather. Megan smiled and told me I looked ready for the highest peaks. I asked her if these boots were easy to clean after a muddy walk. She showed me a small bottle of protective spray on the counter. "This keeps the water out and the leather looking new," she said. I like the idea of keeping my new purchase in good condition. She also mentioned that I should wear thicker socks for long trips. I looked at a wall of socks with different patterns and thicknesses. Megan picked a pair made of wool that helps the skin to breathe. I decided to buy 2 pairs of those socks to be fully prepared. The total price was starting to grow, but quality is worth it. I asked about the warranty for the soles and the metal hooks. She told me the store offers a 1-year guarantee for any defects. That gave me a lot of confidence in the brand she chose for me. I felt like Megan really cared about my comfort and my safety. I sat back down to take the boots off so she could box them. Taking them off was a bit difficult because they were so secure. Megan handed me a shoehorn to make the process a bit easier. I realized I had been in the store for 20 minutes already. The other customers were busy looking at sandals for the summer. I was the only one preparing for a cold mountain challenge. Megan started to put the boots back into their original paper. She tucked the laces inside so they wouldn't get tangled. I looked at my old sneakers and felt a bit sorry for them. They had been with me for many years, but their time was over. I was ready to move forward with my new brown companions.
Write a comment. 3 best comments get 20 English lessons completely free.
Wait, I saw another pair of boots near the window earlier. They were black and looked a bit lighter than the brown ones. Megan smiled and said she could bring them for a comparison. She returned with a silver box and a very lightweight pair. These are made of synthetic materials instead of leather, she said. I tried them on and noticed they were much easier to move in. However, they didn't feel as warm or as strong as the first pair. Megan explained that these were better for fast running on flat paths. I told her that my trip involved many rocks and perhaps some snow. In that case, the leather boots are definitely the better choice, she agreed. It is always good to see 2 different options before deciding. I stood in the middle of the store with a black boot and a brown one. I felt like a character in a game choosing his special equipment. My blue eyes reflected the bright lights of the shopping center. I decided to go back to the first pair Megan had suggested. Her first intuition was correct, and I trusted her expert opinion. I asked her if she went hiking in the mountains herself. She told me she spends every weekend exploring the local forests. That was why she knew so much about the grip of the soles. It is great to buy things from people who actually use them. I put the black boots back into the silver box for her. Megan thanked me for being so organized and helpful. She took the brown boots to the cash register near the entrance. I followed her, feeling very happy with my final selection. On the way, I saw a display of waterproof hats for the rain. I decided that a hat was a bit too much for today's budget. I focused on my primary goal, the perfect fit for my feet. The store was becoming more crowded with families and children. A little boy was trying on glowing sneakers that flashed red. I remembered having shoes like that when I was a small kid. Now I need shoes that can survive a storm on a rocky hill. Megan started scanning the barcodes on the boots and the socks. The computer screen showed the final price, including the tax. I reached into my pocket for my blue wallet to pay. Megan asked if I had a membership card for a 10% discount. I told her it was my first time in this specific shop. She offered to create a free account for me on her tablet. I gave her my email address and my full name for the system. The discount was applied, and I saved enough money for coffee. Everything was going perfectly during this morning shopping trip. Before I paid, Megan checked the boots for any small scratches. She wanted to make sure they were in perfect condition for me. She even changed the paper inside to keep the shape of the toe. I appreciated her attention to detail and her kind attitude. "Do you want to wear them out of the store today?" she asked. I thought about it, but decided to keep them clean for the trip. I put my old sneakers back on, and they felt very flat now. It is amazing how fast your body adapts to better quality. Megan placed the boots into a large, sturdy paper bag. She also put the wool socks at the bottom of the bag. I handed her my credit card and waited for the machine to beep. The payment was successful, and she handed me a long receipt. "Keep this in the box in case you change your mind," she said. I told her I was sure these were the right boots for my soul. Megan laughed and said that shoes are a very personal thing. She gave me a small flyer with tips on how to break in new boots. I learned that I should wear them around the house for a few days. This prevents blisters when I finally hit the real mountain trail. I thanked her for the tip, as I didn't want any pain on my holiday. She also gave me a sample of the leather cleaning cream for free. It was a very nice gesture that made me feel like a valued guest. I looked around the store one last time to see if I forgot anything. My reflection in the glass door looked happy and very satisfied. Megan waved her hand as I picked up my heavy shopping bag. "Have a wonderful trip and take many photos of the view," she cried. I promised to show her a picture if I ever returned to the mall. I stepped out of the store and back into the busy hallway. The bag felt solid in my hand, a symbol of my coming journey. I was glad I chose the brown leather instead of the black synthetic. The mall music was playing a cheerful song about the summer sun. I walked past a fountain and sat on a bench to check the receipt. The discount really helped, and the price was very fair for leather. I felt like a responsible adult making a smart investment. My old sneakers squeaked on the shiny floor of the shopping center. I couldn't wait to get home and try the boots with my hiking pants. I started thinking about the map of the mountains in my room. The first peak I want to climb is called the Blue Ridge. With these boots, I am sure I can reach the top before noon. Shopping can be tiring, but today was a great adventure. I stood up and headed toward the exit of the big building. I arrived at my apartment and went straight to my bedroom. I took the boots out of the box and put them on the floor. They looked even better in the natural light from my window. I put on the new wool socks Megan had sold me at the store. They were very thick and felt incredibly warm on my feet. I slid my feet back into the brown leather boots and tied them. I walked around my kitchen while making a cup of hot tea. The boots made a satisfying sound on the wooden floorboards. I felt very tall as I reached for a mug on the high shelf. My cat looked at my new shoes with a very curious expression. He tried to sniff the leather, probably smelling the store and Megan. I spent the next hour walking from the living room to the balcony. The leather started to feel a bit softer after some movement. Megan was right about wearing them at home first to avoid pain. I checked my reflection in the mirror and felt very adventurous. My blue t-shirt and jeans looked perfect with this rugged footwear. I started packing my backpack with a water bottle and a map. The boots were the final piece of my holiday equipment list. I felt a sense of readiness that I hadn't felt in a long time. The mountains were calling, and I finally had the right tools. I thought about the bright red hair and the yellow vest of Megan. She was a great help in choosing the right path for my feet. I decided to write a positive review for the store online. It is important to support good service and friendly people. I sat on my sofa and kept the boots on while watching a movie. Even while sitting, they felt very supportive and very cozy. I realized that a good shoe is more than just protection. It is the foundation of every step we take toward our goals. I felt proud of my blue eyes and my brown hair in the mirror. My kind smile was wider than usual because of my purchase. I took a photo of the boots to send to my best friend. He replied instantly, saying they looked like real explorer boots. that made me laugh and feel even more confident in my choice. The evening was quiet, and I felt very peaceful in my home. I took the boots off and placed them neatly by the front door. They were ready for the early morning departure tomorrow. I washed my old sneakers and put them in a box for storage. They deserved a rest after all the miles we traveled together. I went to bed early to be fresh for the mountain air. My dreams were full of green forests and brown leather paths. The sun was just rising when I reached the start of the trail. I stepped out of my car and put on my new brown boots. The ground was a bit wet from the dew on the grass. I walked onto the dirt path and felt the incredible grip. Every step was stable, even when I stepped on slippery rocks. I remembered Megan's face when she showed me the deep tread. She was right about the traction on this difficult terrain. I hiked for 2 hours and my feet felt perfectly fine. There were no blisters and no pressure on my tired ankles. The memory foam was doing its job inside the thick leather. I reached a small waterfall and stopped to take a quick rest. The water was splashing against the rocks with a loud sound. I dipped my boots into a small puddle to test the waterproof seal. My socks stayed completely dry, which was a huge relief for me. I felt like I could walk for another 10 miles without stopping. The blue sky above the trees was bright and without any clouds. I took out my camera and took a photo of my boots on a rock. They looked like they belonged in this wild, natural place. I felt a deep connection to the earth under my new soles. My blue t-shirt was a bit sweaty, but my feet were happy. I continued the climb until I reached the very top of the hill. The view of the valley below was absolutely breathtaking. I could see the city in the distance where the mall was. I thought about Megan and the store with the white walls. She helped me reach this high place with her expert advice. I sat on a flat stone and enjoyed a sandwich from my bag. The wind was cool, but my wool socks kept me very warm. I felt a sense of achievement and pure, simple happiness. This journey was exactly what I needed for my busy mind. I started the descent back to the car as the sun moved. Going down is usually harder on the toes than going up. However, the boots held my feet in place without any sliding. I arrived back in my car feeling energetic and very strong. I took off the boots and thanked them for the great day. I put them in the trunk and drove back toward the city. I decided to stop by the mall to say thank you to Megan. I found her at the same counter, helping an old gentleman. I gave her a quick thumbs up, and she recognized me instantly. "The boots are perfect," I shouted with a big, kind smile. She smiled back, and I knew I had made a new friend today.